Well, welcome into the Cameron Studio podcast room from Cameron University on the Oklahoma Sports Network. Welcome into another podcast of The Point After. It's actually episode 33, cranking right along, and started about a year or so ago with these weekly podcasts, bringing in special guests. And I guess this is the time of the year, I guess you would understand that we're going to talk about football. And so a reminder that you can catch all 13 schools on the Oklahoma Sports Network by downloading our free apps on Apple and Android devices. You can find us on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us there. And then also you can connect to us socially, either on Facebook, on Instagram, or X. So our special guest today, they're going to add into the studio with me is Chalmer Wyatt from the Elgin Owls, the defending state champion Elgin Owls. And I guess you're never going to get old of hearing that, at least for the continuation of this year, right?
Yeah, they can't take it away from me.
So first off, how was your summer personally? I know that teachers have like a small window of a getaway plan. Were you able to get away and kind of rest and kind of refresh and get ready for the new year?
Yeah, I enjoyed the summer. We were able to take some trips, some weekend trips with the family. We've got a 2-year-old that is kind of into everything, and so we got to take her to swimming pools, water parks, stuff like that, and that's really cool. Just to have some downtime to plan some things for her, especially how the fall gets so busy that it's nice to have that summertime. And went down to Texas for a few days, hung out down there. Been to Tulsa. We got some family in Tulsa, so it's been good. So it's a good mixture of football in the morning and then being able to do some things in the afternoon.
And having a 2-year-old, that brings the fun into life right there. It just gets you in better. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what you learned from spring ball, and for those who are kind of eyeing on the roster, you had an exodus of seniors, so that's just plain and simple. Everybody knows, from your offensive lineman to a 4-year starter at quarterback with Trace, and you had to kind of regroup. So you had a little bit of a window in spring break to kind of go through practices and kind of line out what you wanted to see. What did you gain from spring break? Or spring ball, rather?
Yeah, just finding our identity, finding the next guys to take over roles that some guys had held for a long time, and we were really pleased with what we saw out of the guys that had stepped up. And I think it's a case of a lot of guys were kind of waiting their turn. And I think some of that is attributed to, obviously winning a state championship. You've got to be deep, and I think that we learned that this spring with guys that were quality backups last year, and now it's kind of their role in a lot of positions. And I really think the extra, it was 5 weeks that we got, once the playoffs started, because we had a bye week during Thanksgiving. But we practiced for 5 more weeks, and those reps were crucial as we started spring ball, because these guys were, they were only 3-4 months removed from December 14th when we played. We fired it back up in May, and it was kind of like we never fell off. We just had a new group of guys going out and doing it.
Well, you talked about in the weights, and we'll start with quarterback. I know we had our media day yesterday, and thank you so much for showing up for that. Had a great time there and got to talk to all the schools. You mentioned your quarterback that was 3 years in the weights of right behind Trace Laura, and so he was able to gain a lot from Trace, and they worked together. So I guess this is his time to shine. So talk a little bit about his quarterback play and what you expect to see from him.
Yeah, we've been blessed to have Caden, behind Trace for 3 years, and he had great JV seasons the last 2 years. Obviously brings a different skill set to the position. and has really, really grown up, this last year. I go back to last summer. We had a 7-on-7, and Trace was gone. He was gone to a baseball tournament that day. So we had 7-on-7 going on. And so Caden was our quarterback for that session. And man, it was like it was his job then. He threw the ball extremely well. And I think it was, anytime you're behind somebody, it can be hard to stay locked in, stay motivated, because he's the guy, right? But that day, like, we saw a glimpse, kind of what he could do, and now with it being his turn, I think he's taken another step in that regard, which it's been really good to see, because he's talented, we know that. But it's just like, once it's yours, how are you going to take it? How are you going to run with it? What are you going to look like? How are you going to lead us? And up to this point, we like what we've seen out of him in those regards. So, but like I said, we caught a glimpse of it last summer, and now kind of just continuing to take steps. And he knows it's big shoes. Being a starting quarterback is big shoes, no matter where you're at. And he's took that. He's shouldered all of that, and it's been really good to see.
It doesn't hurt that he's got Ritzenmeyer in the backfield to hand off to. I mean, this is one of these players that you say, hasn't he graduated yet? Can he please graduate and move on? And you're thrilled to have him back for a senior year, and you're going to take these crop of new seniors to be your leaders. And how is that looking for this squad for this year?
Man, kind of the same song and dance that I said about Caden. We've, on the offensive line, like CJ Devine is, he's 6'3", 290, and he didn't make the lineup last year. And same deal, like, quality backup last year, but it wasn't his turn. And but once Summer Pride hit, and even spring ball, like, he's a brand new kid. Like, he's got personality like we haven't seen before. And I don't know, we say this a lot, like, there's something about a senior. They're just different. And I think in our case, we've got a good group that, majority of them have just been kind of waiting their turn, aside from some of the guys that played big roles last year. And so it's been good to see these guys blossom, if you will. Even some juniors that are stepping into roles. It's just kind of their turn, and I think it's really beneficial that they kind of saw it all last year from a perspective, and now the experience that they got all year long, I think, is crucial to who they want to be, and what we want them to be this year, and their development, their leadership, and so now it's just it's their turn, and I think they have a really good resume built up to this point with what that looks like, and now they can go do it, and they can go do it their way.
Chalmer Wyatt, Elgin head coach, is our guest today on our podcast. And, let's talk about some of these names from a fan standpoint. They knew only that they were on the team, and you knew them as backups. Now they're going to be starting roles. So talk a little bit, just give some names and some of the positions that maybe the fan base wasn't ready for, that you're excited for because of what you've seen and what you're ready to start for the new year.
Okay. Defensively, I'll start defensively. At the linebacker position, Casey Meyer will take over, with making our calls and getting us lined up. Kind of Coach Baker's right-hand man, calling the defense. Smart, savvy, plays above his height and weight for sure. In the back end, you've got John Lohman, who just got talent just out the ears, and just
basketball player coming.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that he came out 2 years ago, and loves it. Eats it up. He's fun to coach, and he's looking to take over a safety position that Hunter Jackson had for 3 years, and he brings a good physical side, at the safety position. Comes downhill really well. So we're excited about him. Um, then you go to the defensive line, which, we lose all three. And the guys that got a lot of reps last year in some games, Braden Jones has had a tremendous summer. He'll be a senior for us. He's going to play defensive end on one side. He bench pressed 385 pounds.
Wow.
In our max league, which obviously was our team record. 365. 365. I'm sorry, 365. That'd be a big jump. But he's big, strong, moves well, pursues football well. We're excited for him. Tucker New is a junior. He's got great size at 6'4". Plays the other side at our anchor position for now. And he's disruptive. He's kind of a lot like the Jack Angeli kid we had a couple years ago. And we're excited to see him. Offensively, a guy that had spot started for us some last year at right tackle was Cam Hollifer. He's a well-built, strong, thick kid that moves well. And can climb up to the second level in space. He can reach block. So he steps in for Shea at the right tackle position, which Shea was a really athletic tackle for us, and we kind of got that same thing with Cam, ability wise. Obviously I mentioned CJ stepping into a role, and then with the running backs coming back, Ritson obviously is our bell cow. And Braxton Antuna, who got a lot of carries last year, those guys are going to complement each other again this year. And they're both bigger, they're both faster, they're both stronger, and so those guys will continue to do that. And then out wide, of course, Brody's back. He had, 11 touchdowns, 900 yards receiving last year. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns. He kind of leads the receivers unit. We've got 2 guys that are extremely talented, Joey Ariano and Corday Ritchie, that will step in to some receiver roles as well with a sophomore Keegan Hillary that's battling to find some time at that position as well. And I think we got a lot of talented guys. It's just a matter of, are we going to buy in? Are we going to, produce? We'll find that all out with practice, obviously coming up. So it's fun, just from the newness of it, right? And it's fun because we have talented guys stepping into those roles. So it'll be great for us as coaches to work hard and evaluate and see, who's going to kind of come out of the fire and fill some of these roles for us. And so, another tight end I didn't mention that a basketball player that's coming out, Lucas Young. He'll be a senior. Yeah. He measured in at 6'6", 195 pounds. Matchup nightmare. We lose Adam Eaton last year, who's a great tight end for us, and we got taller. We got taller than Adam this year with Lucas. So we're excited about him as well. Yeah, man, lots of new faces, lots of exciting things, lots of exciting guys that are stepping into roles that that want it. And I think that's the cool thing about it. It's not guys that are just here to fill a role. Like they saw what happened last year and they want to do that again. That was a lot of fun, and so that's the exciting part about these kids and kind of where they're at in the process going into fall camp.
Got to see Lucas Young do his first slam in basketball last year, one of the home games, and so he got comfortable with that. It's because we go from a sophomore to a junior, and then finally get that experience as he grows up, and so it was really nice to see on the basketball court, and for him to come out, a couple of them with Lohman too, that had previous come out to get some of those basketball players with their athleticism. How do you guard against? And I know these are still high school kids. How do you guard against the fact that you won a state championship, and in the media day you said, well, nothing really went wrong, and so the buy-in is, wow, I just plug in and we're just going to go straight, and then you kind of lose that edge or that work ethic. So you as a head coach, how do you guard against kids just being kids and saying, hey, we're just going to be on another state championship run?
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, right? Like I said, we're really fortunate last year. And I think going into Summer Pride, as a staff, we built a good plan to kind of shake these guys up and kind of get them out of that, um, you know, comfort or whatever you want to call it. And so we kind of kept them on edge all summer. We were really hard on them. A lot of the kids kind of said this was our hardest summer that we've had, which
Wow.
was good to hear on the coaching side of it. And that's the main thing is, adversity is going to happen, and the more prepared we are for it, I think just to be one step ahead when those things happen, can only keep us closer, as a team. But we challenged them really hard this summer, and I think that's what we needed to do. You know, and I think that they understand that too. They know that things won't be easy. They know they're smart. Like, our kids are smart. They understand a lot, and I think we do a good job of laying things out for them, being real with them, and they respond. And but you just never know until it happens, right? And so that's kind of the uncertainty. You can coach them up and tell them and tell them and tell them and prepare them for it, but you just don't know until it happens. And so that's where we just got to keep harping on it. And hopefully, you got to be prepared for bad things to happen. And if they don't happen, that's great. But I think that's a game of football. Especially with guys stepping up into new roles. But that's the main thing we want to do this summer is to shake them up and develop some things that were mentality based rather than more so on just the skill set and just rolling into practice. Like I think that will be a big key for us this year.
I wanted to be able to get you before the calm, before the storm, because we're going to, start reps, getting pads on, in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be full run, and then you've got your scrimmages. So each team is different. And I even see this with the NFL. I don't care if they're contracted at all, because guys leave. I mean, leave to free agency, they retire out. And so I've heard it from the top ranks of the NFL to say every year is different. So if you're expecting this from the previous year, this is a new team, new chemistry, new, everything. It has to be treated like you're starting all over. So if that be the case, and you've got your scrimmages coming up, and you want to kind of evaluate where you are heading into 0 week in the season, what would you like to see most out of the scrimmages? What are you as a coach really wanting to break down to see, okay, this is what I want to see from this team, and what would it be?
Yeah, I want to see where we're at, controlling the line of scrimmage. I think that's always a key to winning big football games. Obviously, I want to see us offensively distribute the ball out, execute, and kind of see what we're going to be good at. Because it may look different than last year. Defensively, I think that our kids understand our standard defensively of controlling gaps and playing fast and playing simple, and just with new guys doing that, that's the main thing. We could have some position changes. We've got some guys penciled in to start at some places, but we'll go through practice, see how that looks, and then we need to, at our scrimmage, we need to call these things. We need to get the ball out to some players and see what they can do for us. And that's the main thing. And I think from that we'll build going into week 0. And of course it's tough. Week 0 is tough because you got one scrimmage, you've got 2 weeks of practice essentially, and so it's going to be fast. We got to be quick at eval and seeing where we're at. But that's the main thing is can these guys do it similar to last year, or do we need to tweak things to fit our players more in our schemes? And that's the fun part of it. That's the fun part of it is getting some film, looking at it, talking as a staff, and putting our kids in the best position to make them successful and make us successful.
Now, I know with clinics, this is usually the time where everybody knows how the redistricting would happen, and that did not happen. They took the OSSAA took the coaches' suggestions to kind of move that into the next year for the ADM, so you're not working on last May's numbers, and so that was probably a smart move. So we don't know what to talk about, whether you're going to jump back up to 5A, but you were down to 4A for the first year after being in 5A for a couple of years, and we'll talk about your non-district schedule. You talked about 0 week coming up pretty soon. Do you think that really kind of helps you in the 4A ranks when you have to play a MacArthur, or you have to play a Newcastle? I don't really know much about the Texas school that's on your non-district, but do you think that really prepares you to get battle tested to go into 4?
Yeah, absolutely. This last cycle, we really beefed up our non-district schedule, and I think that's what you should do. I think you can find out a lot about your guys early. With MacArthur being very talented as they always are. First game out of the box, that's tough. Newcastle, obviously they were, I believe, the semifinalist team last year, and so it will be 2 good tests right there. And then we've got to make the trip to Dallas too, which is there's a lot of unknown. And I'm thankful we have a long road trip in non-district play, to
Yeah.
get those kids used to that. If we, have that into the playoffs, or, traveling to Elk City and Clinton, those are kind of further drives for us. So just, getting the kids prepared for things. And I think our non-district schedule takes care of a lot of those things. Obviously, tough opponents, and we'll find out a lot about who we are in those games. And at the end of the day, they're non-district games, right? So
That's right.
They have no bearing on 4A and our district. But I think it's great. I really like our non-district schedule. I think every coach would agree with me that week 0 gets here way too fast, and another week of practice would be great. But I just went back and watched that game last year, and everyone's sloppy. We're not playing with great technique. It was hot. But it's exciting because it's the first game of the season. It's opening night of the year. Week 0 is, and to be a part of that is special too, because everybody by that point is dying to watch some high school football and read some scores and get into the fall like everyone loves to do.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I really like our non-district schedule. And so, of course, it's the last year of that cycle. So we'll see kind of how that shakes out next January. But
you'll get to see if, are we 4A and 5A, and that's going to adjust to see what we're going to want to do for non-district the following year. Yeah. Yeah, so that's very interesting how that plays out, and we're looking forward to it. And to kind of pick up right where you left off. And you mentioned what I've heard other coaches say about that non-district schedule. I've seen teams go 0-3 in non-district and not be phased at all, and then run and win the district and go undefeated that way. So if you play those tougher caliber teams, I always thought that helps you to really know who you are. You get a little battle tested, and you get ready for your district. So you got another full slate. So I guess ready or not, here it comes. I know that your wife will kind of be on the back burner with your 2-year-old. I know they'll be everywhere you're at, but I guess say God bless our coaches' wives, because they are so dedicated. In fact, someone brought this up to my attention. I think I'm going to do it for our awards banquet next year. I think we're going to add a coach's wife award or appreciation plaque or something like that, just because they deserve it. I mean, they just awesome. So much.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's awesome.
Get a little acknowledgement for those who never really get much outside of the pictures at the end of a game, with the family pictures that you see, but they do a lot more, and that firsthand. All right, well, Coach, appreciate your time. Chalmer Wyatt from the Elgin Owls, defending state champions. I love to say that of 13 schools last year, we had 2 state champions, and in basketball, we had a runner-up. So, man, the content we have with 13 schools, we are very blessed, and we're blessed to have you and love the Elgin Owls. Elgin Owls, this will be our 10th season, by the way. We started this off 10 years ago with 3 schools, and it was MacArthur, Lawton High, and Elgin. And so, and boy, it's been 10 years already, but a decade of that.
Wow. Yeah, I can't believe that. I've been a part of that for maybe 9 of them.
Yeah, I know. See, it just kind of goes back. I was talking with Coach Brett. He was manning for the MacArthur Islanders in our previous podcast, and he said that he had been, and I didn't understand. I mean, he said we'll be coaching 17 years, and I said, man, I just didn't know it was that long. He said, yeah, when my dad was there 16 years, I thought he coached at MacArthur forever. So I said, well, welcome to the old school club now, I guess. As you get older and more experience. So. All right, Coach, good luck to you. We'll be following you every step of the way. Elgin Owls on the Elgin channel on the Oklahoma Sports Network, and good luck for you on this season.
Appreciate it, Eric. Thanks.
All right, so Chalmer Wyatt joined us in our Point After podcast here from the Cameron Studios. Appreciate Cameron University, our relationship with it, that I get a great luxury of having a great podcast studio. Make sure you download our free apps. It's free to download on Apple and Android devices, also on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We'll see you next time around. This has been a presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.